Hello, Wayne Dyer here, and today I want to take you on a journey into the heart of the Tao Te Ching with the very first essay, Living the Mystery. Now, if you're anything like me, you've probably found yourself pondering the great mysteries of life while sipping your morning coffee or during one of those magical moments on the beach. Well, guess what? We're about to dive deep into one of the most profound teachings ever written. The Tao Te Ching, written by Lao Tzu, is a timeless piece of wisdom that has guided countless souls toward inner peace and enlightenment. And the first essay, Living the Mystery, sets the stage for an extraordinary journey. Lao Tzu tells us that the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. Now, doesn't that just make you want to scratch your head and say, thanks, Lao Tzu, for making things crystal clear? But that's the beauty of the Tao. It invites us to embrace the mystery, to live in the wonder and awe of life itself. Lao Tzu is essentially saying that the true essence of life, the Tao, is beyond words and definitions. It's the great mystery that underlies everything. Think about it. Can you really capture the essence of a beautiful sunset in a description, or the feeling of falling in love in a mere word? The Tao is like that. It's the indescribable force that flows through all things, the source of all creation. Let me share a personal story. Many years ago, I was on a book tour in Europe. One evening, after a long day of events, I found myself wandering through the narrow streets of an ancient city. The beauty of the old buildings, the cobblestone paths, and the distant sound of a street musician playing a violin created an atmosphere that felt almost magical. In that moment, I felt completely at peace, and it struck me that this is what Lao Tzu meant by living the mystery. I wasn't thinking about my schedule or my next appointment. I was fully present, immersed in the experience. Lao Tzu encourages us to live in harmony with this mystery. Instead of trying to control everything, we need to let go and trust the natural flow of life. This is where the magic happens, my friends. When we stop forcing and start allowing, we open ourselves up to the infinite possibilities that the universe has in store for us. Now you might be thinking, Wayne, how do I embrace this mystery without going completely bonkers? Well, it's all about perspective. Remember, the Tao is about balance. It's about finding the middle way, the path of least resistance. When you let go of the need to label and categorize everything, you begin to see the world with new eyes. You start to notice the beauty in the ordinary, the extraordinary in the everyday. Imagine walking through your day with a sense of wonder. Instead of seeing just another busy street, you see a symphony of life, each person playing their unique part. Instead of a mundane routine, you find the dance of the universe unfolding before you. That's living the mystery, my friends. Think about the last time you watched children playing. They don't worry about the future or dwell on the past. They're fully engaged in the moment, exploring their world with curiosity and joy. That's the essence of living the mystery. As adults, we can learn a lot from this childlike wonder. By being fully present, we open ourselves to the richness of life that we often miss. I remember a time when I was struggling to understand the Tao. I was on one of my famous beach walks, pondering the mysteries of the universe, when I tripped over a piece of driftwood. As I lay there on the sand, looking up at the sky, it hit me. The Tao isn't something to be understood, it's something to be experienced. And sometimes the universe has a funny way of giving us those little nudges, or in my case, a literal trip, to remind us to just let go and live. So how can we implement this essay in our daily lives? Start by practicing mindfulness. Take a few moments each day to just be. Observe your surroundings without judgment, without labels. Feel the breeze on your face, listen to the sounds of nature, and simply be present. When you encounter challenges, remind yourself to let go and trust in the natural flow of life. Embrace the mystery and know that you are part of something much greater than yourself. Mindfulness is a powerful tool for living the mystery. It's about being fully present in whatever you're doing. Whether you're washing the dishes, walking your dog, or having a conversation with a friend, try to be completely there. Notice the details, the sensations, the sounds, and the smells. When you bring this level of awareness to your daily activities, life becomes richer and more meaningful. Another way to embrace the mystery is through gratitude. Every morning, take a few moments to think about the things you're grateful for. It could be something as simple as the warmth of the sun on your face or the smile of a loved one. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's lacking in your life to the abundance that's already there. Remember, dear friends, the Tao is about living in harmony with the universe. It's about finding peace in the midst of chaos, joy in the simplicity of life, and wonder in the everyday moments. So take a leap of faith, embrace the mystery, and watch as your life transforms in the most miraculous ways. Let me leave you with this thought. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. When we stop trying to figure everything out and start experiencing life fully, we tap into a deeper wisdom and a greater joy. So let go, be present, and trust in the unfolding of the mystery. The second essay of Tao Te Ching is completely focused on living universally. Quote, "Under heaven, all can see beauty as beauty. Only because there is ugliness, all can know good as good. Only because there is evil. Being and non-being produce each other. The difficult is born in the easy. Long is defined by short, the high by the low. Before and after go along with each other, so the sage lives openly with apparent duality and paradoxical unity. The sage can act without effort and teach without words, nurturing things without possessing them. He works but not for rewards, he competes but not for results. When the work is done, it is forgotten. That is why it lasts forever." Unquote. Living the paradoxical unity, the concept of something or someone being beautiful, is grounded in a belief system that promotes duality and judgment. This way of thinking is prevalent and commonplace for just about everybody in our culture. Perhaps even having some value in society, I encourage you to explore the concept of paradoxical unity. In the second verse of the Tao Te Ching, by changing your thoughts, you can change your life and truly live the bliss of oneness. Has it ever occurred to you that beauty depends on something being identified as ugly? Therefore, the idea of beauty produces the idea of ugliness, and vice versa. Just think of how many concepts in this duality belief system depend on opposites. A person isn't tall unless there's a belief system that includes short. Our idea of life couldn't exist without that of death. Day is the opposite of night. Male is the antithesis of female. What if you instead perceived all as a piece or a glimpse of the perfection of oneness? I think this is what Lao Tzu is suggesting with his description of the sage who lives openly with apparent duality and paradoxical unity. Imagine the perfect oneness coexisting in the apparent duality, where opposites are simply judgments made by human minds. In the world of the 10,000 things, surely the daffodil doesn't think that the daisy is prettier or uglier than it is. And the eagle and the mouse have no sense of the opposites we call life and death. The trees, flowers, and animals know not of ugliness or beauty. They simply are in harmony with the eternal Tao, devoid of all judgment as the sage lives openly with the parent duality. He synthesizes the origin with the manifestation. Without forming an opinion about it, living without judgment and imperfect oneness is what Lao Tzu invites his readers to do. He invites our wisdom to combine perceived opposites and live a unified life. The perfection of the Tao is allowing apparent duality while seeing the unity that is reality, life, and death are identical. Virtue and sin are judgments, needing both to identify either. These are the paradoxes of a unified life. This is living within the eternal dial. Once the dichotomies or pairs of opposites are transcended, or at least seen for what they flow in and out of life like the tides. Practice being a living, breathing paradox every moment of your life. The body has physical boundaries. It begins and ends and has material substance. Yet it also contains something that defies boundaries, has no substance, and is infinite and formless. You are both the Tao and the 10,000 things simultaneously. Let the contrasting and opposite ideas be within you at the same time. Allow yourself to hold those opposite thoughts without them canceling each other out. Believe strongly in your free will and ability to influence your surroundings, and simultaneously surrender to the energy within you. Know that good and evil are two aspects of a union. In other words, accept the duality of the material world, while still remaining in constant contact with the oneness of the eternal Tao. The debilitating necessity to be right and make others wrong will soon diminish. I believe that Lao Tzu would apply the Tao Te Ching to today's world by suggesting the following. First, live a unified life. Enter the world of oneness with an awareness of the propensity to compartmentalize everything as good or bad, right or wrong, beautiful or ugly are standards of the physical world, not the tale. Contemplate the insight that duality is a mind game. In other words, people look the way they look. Period. Criticism is not always necessary or helpful. See the unfolding of the Tao inside everyone, including yourself, and be at peace with what you observe. Be a good animal and move freely unencumbered with thoughts about where you should be and how you should be acting. For instance, imagine yourself as an otter, just living your otterness. You're not good or bad, beautiful or ugly, a hard worker or a slacker. You're simply an otter moving through the water or on the land, freely, peacefully playing and without judgment. When it's time to leave your body, you do so, reclaiming your place in the pure mystery of oneness. This is what Lao Tzu means when he says, when the work is done, it is forgotten. That is why it lasts forever. In other words, you don't have to leave your body to experience forever. It's possible to know your eternal self, even in the embodied condition. When duality and judgment crop up, allow them to be a part of the perfect unity. When other people create dichotomies, you can always know oneness by practicing the Tao. Also accomplish much by trying less. Effort is one piece of the whole, another piece is non-effort. Fuse these dichotomies, and the result is effortless action. Without attachment to outcome, this is precisely how you dance with someone. You make an attempt, assume a position, listen to the music, and let go all at the same time, allowing yourself to easily move with your partner. Combine the so-called opposites into the oneness of being without judgment or fear. Labeling action as a fine effort implies a belief that trying hard is better than not trying. But trying itself only exists because of beliefs about not trying. Attempting to pick up a piece of trash is really just not picking up the trash. Once you've picked it up, then trying and not trying are irrelevant. Understand that you can act without the implied judgment of words such as effort and trying. You can compete without being forced to focus on outcome. Eliminating opposites paradoxically unifies them so that it is unnecessary to identify with one position. I imagine that in today's language, Lao Tzu would sum up the second verse of the Tao Te Ching in these two simple words: just be. Do the Tao, now do the doubt today, by noticing an opportunity to defend or explain yourself and choosing not to. Instead, turn within and sense the texture of misunderstanding, feeling it all the way through your physical system. Just be with what is instead of opting to ease it by traversing this outer world path of explaining and defending. Don't get caught up in the apparent duality of being right or wrong. Congratulate yourself for making a choice to be in paradoxical unity, a oneness where all of the spectrum simply is. Silently appreciate the opportunity along with your willingness to practice your sageness. Third verse of the Tao Te Ching, quote, "Putting a value on status will create contentiousness. If you overvalue possessions, people begin to steal. By not displaying what is desirable, you will cause the people's hearts to remain undisturbed. The sage governs by emptying minds and hearts, by weakening ambitions and strengthening bones. Practice not doing. When action is pure and selfless, everything settles into its own perfect place." Unquote. Living contentment. This third verse of the Tao Te Ching advises rearranging priorities to ensure contentment. Focusing on obtaining more objects of desire encourages external factors to have control over us. Pursuit of status, be it monetary or a position of power, blinds us to our relationship to the eternal Tao, along with the contented life that is also available. Overvaluing possessions and accomplishments stems from our ego's fixation on getting more. More wealth, more belongings, more status, more power. Or the like, the Tao recommends refraining from this kind of discontented way of life, which leads to thievery, contentiousness, and confusion, rather than seeking more, the Tao. Practice of gratitude is what leads us to the contented life. We must replace personal desires with the Tao-centered question, how may I serve? By simply changing these kinds of thoughts, we will begin to see major changes taking place in our lives. The advice to practice not doing and trusting that all will settle into a perfect place may sound like a prescription for laziness in a failed society. Yet I don't think that's what Lao Tzu is offering here. He isn't saying to be slothful or inactive. Rather, he's suggesting that trusting in the Tao is the way to be directed by the source of your creation and to be guided by a higher principle than your ego-driven desires. Ego-fixated wants can get in the way of divine essence. So practice getting ego out of the way and be guided by the Tao in all that you do. In a state of frenzy, trust in the Tao. Listen for what urges you onward, free from ego domination, and you'll paradoxically be more productive. Allow what's within to come forward by suspending worldly determination. In this way, it will no longer be just you who is conducting this orchestration that you call your life. Much of this third verse contains advice on how to govern. I view this not as political or administrative advice, but as it pertains to our own personal lives, and those we're entrusted to guide, that is our immediate families, and in a larger sense, the human family that comprises all of those with whom we're in contact on a daily basis. Encourage your relatives to empty their minds of thoughts about status and acquisitions, and think instead about serving others and contributing to the health and strength of all. Model the harmony of this attitude. After all, everyone has a calling to be inspired. The source of creation is not interested in material possessions or status. It will provide what is needed. It will guide, motivate, and influence you and everyone else. Ego and its incessant inventory of desires probably needs to be weakened so that the beauty of the Tao can be sensed. Demonstrate this to others by being a leader who removes the egocentric temptations that foster envy and anger and competition. If Lao Tzu were able to view our contemporary world from his 2,500-year-old perspective, I believe that he'd offer the following advice based upon this third verse of the Tao Te Ching. First, remind yourself daily that there's no way to happiness. Rather, happiness is the way. You may have a long list of goals that you believe will provide you with contentment when they're achieved. Yet, if you examine your state of happiness in this moment, you'll notice that the fulfillment of some previous ambitions didn't create an enduring sense of joy. Desires can produce anxiety, stress, and competitiveness, and you need to recognize those that do bring happiness to every encounter in life, instead of expecting external events to produce joy. By staying in harmony on the path of the Tao, all the contentment you could ever dream of will begin to flow into your life. The right people, the means to finance, where you're headed, and the necessary factors will all come together. Stop pushing yourself, Lao Tzu would say, and feel gratitude and awe for what it is. Your life is controlled by something far bigger and far more significant than the petty details of your lofty aspirations. And secondly, trust the perfection of the eternal Tao, for it is the ultimate source of all of the 10,000 things. The Tao is working for and with you, so you needn't remind it of what you crave or what you think it has forgotten on your behalf. Trust the harmony of the Tao. It took care of everything that you needed in your creation, as well as your first 9 months of life without any assistance from you. And totally independent of any desires you may have had, the Tao will continue to do so if you just trust it. And practice not doing so much. Inventory your desires and then turn them over to the unnameable. Yes, turn them over and do nothing but trust. At the same time, listen and watch for guidance, and then connect yourself to the perfect energy that sends whatever is necessary into your life. You, meaning your ego, don't need to do anything. Instead, allow the eternal perfection of the Tao to work through you. This is Lao Tzu's message for our world right now. Henry David Thoreau made the following observation in the middle of the 19th century as he wrote at Walden Pond, and I feel that it personifies this third verse of the Tao Te Ching, quote, "Let us spend one day as deliberately as nature, and not be thrown off the track by every nutshell and mosquito's wing that falls on the rails. If the engine whistles, let it whistle till it is hoarse for its pains if the bell rings. Why should we run? I've always been regretting that I was not as wise as the day I was born." End of quote. Trust in your essential sageness. Don't let desires obscure your eternal connection to the Tao. Do the Tao now. Watch for an opportunity today. To notice that you're planning on buying something, choose to do the Tao and listen for guidance. Be grateful that you have the choice to make the purchase. Then practice listening to yourself and not doing. Through your feelings, the Tao will reveal the way. For you, in that moment, trust it. You might be guided to buy the item and savor it with gratitude, or donate it, or procure one for you and one for someone else, or even to give the money to a charity instead of getting the item, or refrain from obtaining it altogether. Practice doing the Tao in everyday situations, and you'll know contentment in a deeper sense. As this verse says, when action is pure and selfless, everything settles into its own perfect place. Now that's my definite. Fourth verse of the Tao Te Ching, quote, "The Tao is empty but inexhaustible, bottomless, the ancestor of it all. Within it, the sharp edges become smooth, the twisted knots loosen. The sun is softened by a cloud, the dust settles into place. It is hidden but always present. I do not know who gave birth to it. It seems to be the common ancestor of all, the father of things." End quote. Living infinitely, the Tao is the source of all life. Yet it is empty and limitless and cannot be constrained, quantified, or measured. This life-giving energy of creation provides a profound source of joy that's accessible at all times. If you live from an infinite perspective, You'll relinquish the idea that your own identity is the physical body in which you progress from birth to death. In your totality, you're an infinite being, disguised as a person, existing in the world of sharp edges and twisted knots. As this verse refers to coalescing within and around you at all times, is the invisible, life-giving force of the Tao. It is inexhaustible, it is bottomless, it cannot be depleted. This fourth verse of the Tao invites you to consider rearranging your thoughts about who you are. It seems to be saying that cultivating an awareness of the infinite aspect of yourself is the way to tap into the limitless source of creative energy that flows through you. For example, you may want to help some less fortunate people improve their day-to-day existence, but you don't believe that you have the time or the energy to do so because of who you are and what you're presently doing. As you relax your hold on the idea of yourself as the job you do or the life you're living, and seek to acquaint yourself with the limitless creative energy that's a part of you, the time and energy you require will appear. Imagine yourself helping others, guided by the infinite aspect of yourself, will generate behavior and actions that complement your vision. Through the common ancestor of the Tao, ultimately, you'll cultivate an absolute knowing that whatever assistance you need is right here and right now, in front of, in back of, above and below you. It is empty yet very much present. It is as Lao Tzu reminds you, bottomless, the ancestor of it all. Awareness of the omnipresence of the Tao means that thoughts of shortages or lacks aren't prevalent. Beliefs such as, there's no way this will happen, it's not my destiny, or with my luck, things could never work out, cease to be entertained. Instead, you begin to expect that what you imagine for yourself is not only on its way, it's already here. This new self-portrait based on the cooperative presence of the invisible Tao elevates you to living an inspired life that is one of being in spirit or in unending touch with the Tao. When you live infinitely, the rewards are a sense of peaceful joy because you know that all is in order. This is what I imagine Lao Tzu's ancient words mean in our modern era. First, consider all things that seem to be a problem from the perspective of the eternal believing that there's a shortage of prosperity is a signal to think in terms of the inexhaustible source. The Tao, just like everything else on our planet, money, is available in limitless qualities. Know this and connect to the bottomless supply. Do it first in your thoughts by affirming, everything I need now is here. Prosperity thoughts are energetic instructions to access your infinite self, so actions will follow them. Take this same approach, staying in harmony with the Tao, to all of your problems, for there's an all-encompassing supply of well-being to partner with. So rather than giving energy to illness and perceived misfortunes, stay with the Tao, stay with what can never be used up. Stay with that which is the Father of all things, the creative source of it all. It will work with and for you as you have it in your thoughts, then in your feelings, and finally in your actions. And secondly, be an infinite observer. When acknowledged as a sign of change, worry is transitory. It's simply part of the world of the changing. If you view your life from the vantage point of an infinite observer, concerns, anxieties, and struggles blend into the eternal mix. From this ageless perspective, picture how important the things you feel depressed about now will be in 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, or an uncountable number of years. Remember that you, like the infinite Tao from which you originated, are part of an eternal reality. Rearrange your thoughts to practice thinking in alignment with the Tao. With the assistance of the eternal Tao, all of the sharp edges of life, smooth out the knots, loosen, and the dust settles. Try it, do the Tao now, pick a situation today, any situation will work. And instead of verbally responding, be silent and listen to your thoughts. For example, in a social gathering or business meeting, choose to seek the emptiness found in silence in order to be aware of your infinite self. Invited to let you know when or whether to respond. If you find your worldly ego interpreting or judging, then just observe that without criticizing or changing it. You'll begin to find more and more situations where it feels peaceful and joyful to be, without response, just to be in the infinity that's hidden but always present. You might want to duplicate this advice of my teacher, Nisargadatta Maharaja, and post it conspicuously so that you can read it daily as Edo. Quote, wisdom is knowing, I am nothing. Love is knowing, I am everything. And in between the two, my life moves. Unquote. And while you're living, stay as close to love as you can. Fifth verse of the Tao Te Ching. Quote, heaven and earth are impartial. They see the 10,000 things as straw dogs. The sage is not sentimental. He treats all his people as straw dogs. The sage is like heaven and earth. To him, none are especially dear, nor is there anyone he disfavors. He gives and gives without condition, offering his treasures to everyone. Between heaven and earth is a space like a bellows, empty and inexhaustible. The more it is used, the more it produces. Hold on to the center. Man was made to sit quietly and find the truth within. Unquote. Living impartially, the Tao does not discriminate, period. Like heaven and earth, it is impartial. The Tao is the source of all the great invisible provider. It doesn't show preference by giving energy to some while depriving others. Rather, the basic life-sustaining components of air, sunshine, atmosphere, and rain are provided for all on our planet. By choosing to harmonize our inner and outer consciousness with this powerful feature of the Tao, we can realize the true self that we are. The true self is our unsentimental sage aspect that lives harmoniously with the Tao. This aspect doesn't view life in one form as more deserving than another, and it refuses to play favorites, or as Lao Tzu states, he treats all his people as straw dogs. Lao Tzu uses this term to describe how the Tao, as well as the enlightened ones, treats the 10,000 things that comprise the world of the manifest. In Stephen Mitchell's translation of the Tao Te Ching, he explains that straw dogs were ritual objects, venerated before the ceremony, but afterward abandoned and trampled. Underfoot, in other words. Taoism reveres and respects existence impartially as an ebb and flow that is to be revered and then released with impartial awareness. The sage genuinely sees the sacredness within all the straw dogs in this ceremony we call life. This fifth verse encourages us to be aware of this unbiased source and, as a bonus, to enjoy the paradoxical nature of the Tao. The more rapport we have with the energy of the Tao, and the more we're living from its all-creating perspective, the more it's available to us. It's impossible to use it up. If we consume more, we simply receive more. But if we attempt to hoard it, we'll experience shortages ourselves, along with the failures of having even a wisp of understanding the Tao, and its inexhaustible powers paradoxically disappear when we attempt to exclude anyone from its unprejudiced nature. The varied forms of life are illusory as far as the Tao is concerned. So no one is special or better than anyone else. This sentiment is echoed in the Christian scriptures. Quote, God sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. Matthew 5:45, unquote. Practicing impartiality is a way to incorporate this fifth verse of the Tao Te Ching into your life. and to practice its wisdom in today's world. To that end, this is what I believe Lao Tzu was trying to impart to us from his 2,500-year-old vantage point. First, stay in harmony with the impartial essence of the Tao. In all of your thoughts and all of your behaviors, when you have a thought that excludes others, you've elected to see yourself as special and therefore deserving of exceptional favor from your source of being. The moment you've promoted yourself to this category, you've elevated your self-importance above those whom you've decided are less deserving. Thinking this way will cause you to lose the all-encompassing power of the Tao. Organizations, including religious groups that designate some members as favored, aren't centered in the Tao, no matter how much they attempt to convince themselves and others of their spiritual. The act of exclusion and partiality eliminates their functioning from their true self. In other words, if a thought or behavior divides us, it's not of God. If it unites us, it is of God. Stay centered on this Tao that resides within you, Lao Tzu advises, and you'll never have a thought that isn't in harmony with spirit. And secondly, offer your treasures to everyone. This is what the Tao is doing at every moment, offering to all the entire spectrum of creation. Think of this as a simple three-step process. 1. Eliminate as many judgments of others in your thoughts as possible. The simplest, most natural way to accomplish this is to see yourself in everyone. Remember that you and those you judge share one thing in common, the Tao. So rather than viewing appearances, which are really nothing more than straw dogs, see the unfolding of the Tao in those you encounter, and your criticisms and labels will dissolve. And 2, remove the word special from your vocabulary. When you refer to yourself or others, if anyone is special, then we all are. And if we're all exceptional, then we don't need a word like that to define us, since it clearly implies that some are more favored than others. And 3, finally implement the third step of this process by extending generosity. Through living the Tao impartially and connecting with the inner space of being, the Tao in this space, you'll be able to be unbiased about your possessions, recognizing that they're not exclusively yours, but are rather a part of the entirety. By unconditionally sharing and giving, you'll thrill at the experience of living the Tao. And being unprejudiced, the Tao is your truth. It resides within you. Quietly be in the peace and joy of connecting with the inexhaustible Tao. Do the Tao now, many times as possible today. Decide to approach interactions or situations involving other people with a completely fair mindset, which you allow and trust to guide your responses. Do this as often as you can for an entire day, with individuals, groups, friends, family members, or strangers. Create a short sentence that you silently repeat to continuously remind yourself that you're approaching this situation with an unbiased attitude, such as, "Guide me right now, thou Holy Spirit. Guide me now," or "Holy Spirit, help us now." Keeping this brief sentence on a loop in your mind will prevent judgment from habitually surfacing. But even more appealing is the feeling of relaxation and openness to whatever wants to happen in those moments of impartiality. That's it for Lesson 5. Like, share, and subscribe, and keep watching the other lessons from Tao Te Ching on this channel. 6th verse of the Tao Te Ching, quote, "The spirit that never dies is called the mysterious feminine, although she becomes the whole universe. Her immaculate purity is never lost, although she assumes countless forms. Her true identity remains intact. The gateway to the mysterious female is called the root of creation. Listen to her voice, hear it echo through creation. Without fail, she reveals her presence. Without fail, she brings us to our own perfection. Although it is invisible, it endures. It will never end. Unquote. Living creatively. In this 6th verse, Lao Tzu refers to an eternal and indescribable force of creation that continuously gives birth to new life. He tells us that this mysterious female energy continually reveals itself in perfection. And he invites us to an awareness of that voice of creation echoing throughout life in a myriad of ways. Living creatively is how I describe existing with a conscious awareness of the presence of this feminine principle. This mysterious female is always birthing. And the Tao Te Ching speaks of the gateway to her as the root of creation, is telling us that we have the ability to tap into this unlimited field and co-create, or as I've said, live creatively through the Tao. The never-dying formative energy is both our heritage and our destiny, functioning whether we're conscious of it or not. What awareness accomplishes through practicing the Tao is to let us participate in the process, which in turn leads us toward the wholeness that is our ultimate earthbound task. Although his writings are almost 3,000 years old, Lao Tzu is offering 21st century advice here with a message that's as timeless and never-ending as the Tao itself. Words may change, but be assured that the feminine energy can and will bring you to your own perfection. If you choose to be aware of the inherent creativity that resonates deep within you with the invisible Tao, sings the loudest, you'll assist the birthing of new ideas, new accomplishments, new projects, and new ways of understanding your life. In Dangming Tao's 365 Tao daily meditations, the divine feminine energy is equated with the sound of birds soaring and gliding over a vast landscape. Quote, you can feel this in your life. Events will take on a perfect momentum, a glorious cadence. You can feel it in your body. The energy will rise up in you in a thrilling crescendo, setting your very nerves aglow. You can feel it in your spirit. You will enter a state of such perfect grace that you will resound over the landscape of reality like an ephemeral bird song when Tayo comes to you. In this way, write it for all that you are worth. Don't interfere. Don't stop. Don't try to direct it. Let it flow and follow it as long as the song lasts. Follow, just follow. End quote. Here are some thoughts for living creatively. First, know that you are a divine creation, birthed not by your parents, but by the great spiritual divine mother, the Tao. When you're in touch with the energy of your origin, you offer the world your authentic intelligence and talents and behaviors. You're co-creating with the you that originated in the Tao. And the very measure of your essence, the Tao is not confused about what to create and how to go about it, as this is your legacy from the mysterious feminine. Listen to your inner callings. Ignore how others might want to direct your life. And allow yourself to radiate outward. What you feel so profoundly and deeply within yourself, there is a reservoir of talent, ability, and intelligence inside of you that's as endless and inexhaustible as the Tao itself. It must be that way because you are what you came from. And where you came from is this all-encompassing, endlessly creative divine mother, the mysterious feminine of the Tao. Whatever you feel within you as your calling, whatever makes you feel alive, know in your heart that this excitement is all the evidence you need to have your inner passion become reality. This is precisely how creation works, and it's that energy that harmonizes with the Tao. And secondly, be creative in your thoughts, in your feelings, and in all of your actions. Apply your own uniqueness to everything you undertake. Whatever you feel compelled to do, be it. Write music, design software, do floral arrangements, clean teeth, or drive a taxi. Do it with your unique flair. Being creative means trusting your inner callings, ignoring criticism or judgment, and releasing resistance to your natural talents. Re-listen to this 6th verse, paying particular attention to these words. Without fail, she reveals her presence. Without fail, she brings us to our own perfection. Then choose to let go of the doubt and fear you've harbored within you. Regarding your capacity to harmonize with the creative power, a power that's not only greater than your individual life, but is life itself. As the great 14th century Sufi poet Hafiz reminds all of us, quote, "Just sit there right now, don't do a thing. Just rest, for your separation from God, from love, is the hardest work in this world," unquote. When you reconnect to your divine mother, you'll be living creatively. You will, in fact, be living the Tao. Do the Tao now, today. Notice babies and small children. Look for the mysterious feminine nature in little boys and girls who haven't yet become so attuned to cultural and societal demands that their true selves are hidden. Can you see some whose inherent nature is intact? Notice what seems to be their natural character or their gift from the Tao. Then try to recall yourself as a child when the natural doubt-given self was unaware of the ego self, the time before you believed that acquisitions or power were important. Who were you? Who are you now? Yes, today, spend a few moments with a young child and contemplate his or her connection to the Tao and how it unfolds perfectly without any interference.